We're here to discuss the roadmap for tGELF going forward. A lot's been achieved in the last 7 years. There's a lot left to achieve in the next, I don't know how many years. It all depends on the 100-odd people in this room, because at the end of the day, an organization like this is only going to go where we want it to go, because the goals, etc., are going to be defined by us. So now that it's up, I think I'll take it from there, and then we can just naturally lead into the plan for the day. So the first thing we wanted to talk about was the world we live in today. I mean, if you look back over the last 50-odd years since, India's independence, for example, you look at the post-war era, post-World War II, you saw a very different world. And that world saw, from 1947 onwards, once India became independent, World War II ended a couple of years before that, to the 1960s, you saw a bipolar world, a world in which the United States of America and the USSR dominated the compass of the world, whether it was the 1960s, whether it was social movements, whether it was music, whether it was just the fear psychosis that was across the world because of two dominating nations. The bipolar world which we lived in was very different to the world we live in now. Post World War II and post the collapse of the Soviet Union, we actually saw the world move towards a more unipolar structure, with America being the preeminent force in the world. And American force was not challenged. It was something which we were used to as accepting as the norm. The compass of sorts for the world was set by America. As we moved on past the 2000 phase and now into the second decade of this century, we've actually seen challenges to the American force. With 2008, the financial crisis, you actually saw the emergence of the BRICS. You saw a number of countries trying to cling on, trying to actually challenge where America stood as the moral compass, as I would say, militarily America stands supreme. But in every aspect, we saw a sort of challenge being created. And today, while we see it, we've also seen a couple of other things happening in the world. One was we've seen this great commitment to social justice across the world. Equality has become the new slogan for the masses across the world. Equality is what people try to achieve. And this has been empowered by a couple of things. According to me, the IT revolution. The IT revolution changed the way people connect. The focus on reducing poverty, which we've been very successful in, even though there's a lot more to do. All of these things have actually led to a great focus on equality. And with this focus on equality, we've seen, for the first time, at least in India's history, a great demand for accountability. The Anna Hazare movement, for instance, was something we've never seen in India before. With the Anna Hazare movement, we saw the rise of the Aam Aadmi Party, which probably changes the way a large section of Indian society looks at elections. And with Anna Hazare, you saw one man standing up and presenting his worldview, his voice, and that voice being accepted by a large section of India. It appealed, it connected with a large section of India. What do we see in the Arab Spring? We saw the emphasis on collective action. It started by one man lighting himself on fire, but the ripple effect was tremendous. Collective action can change the way we look at the world, can change the world. And if it's focused, if it's organized well enough, collective action can actually produce desired outcomes on a longer term. Yes, it may not happen in 2 years, may not happen in 5, but on a 10, 15, 20-year period, collective action has a lot of space in our world. So that's the way I look at the world. That's the way all of us, when we sat down and we actually looked at where's tGELF coming from, what are we trying to do? Yes, we have a world where we've achieved rapid growth, we've achieved rapid globalization, but do we have a moral compass today? And I would say no. Defining what's right, defining what's wrong, is something which hasn't been done. It's something which can be done, whether it's a simple idea of Facebook or Twitter. Today, it's this generation, this young generation. All of us in our own way can... The assassination of bin Laden, it was someone who tweeted it and the news spread before CNN could catch on to it. It's the small things, but if we can organize the small view, and it may be a very miniature, microscopic view in the world today, organizing all of these people together, organizing all of us together and making this a little more structured, choosing where we want to go with it, can make us a powerful voice. So that's basically the way I think tGELF fits into today's world, and that's where I think the biggest potential for tGELF is. So now, moving on to the next slide, which is the roadmap. Now, what the roadmap is, to be honest, the next 18 slides and everyone else presenting after, a lot of the people presenting have spent years at tGELF and understood this foundation, but at the end of the day, all of us think what tGELF is going to be is only what you want it to be, what everyone here decides it can be. Because for me at Georgetown, a school which is extremely political, a campus club is going to be very different to a campus club for someone studying in London, because, I mean, everything's different. So every campus has its own vibe, every place has its own set of incentives which appeal, it has its own set of, I think just the social fabric, the social fabric. But what we at tGELF are trying to do, and what I think the reason all of us are in this room, is because we represent the lowest common denominator. And that lowest common denominator to me is what makes tGELF different from every other network in the world. And how we shape what the roadmap is, we have an outline, we have a structure. And there are parts on which, I mean, the 18 more slides to come, there's some parts which I don't think I can contribute more to, there's some parts which I think I can contribute more to. But the whole idea is, I mean, I don't think 100 people can sit together and decide the roadmap on every aspect, but there are 10 people who probably want to choose where mentoring should go, 10 people who want to choose where campus clubs should go. And I think if we can actually channelize that energy over these 3 days and then be committed to that small area which we think we have some contribution to make to, we can make this conference really worthwhile. Well, the vision for tGELF. The one warning I was given before I came onto stage was everyone's read this vision. Everyone's come to life year after year, and everyone's heard exactly what tGELF aims to do. But I actually want to share a story from a book I read. It's I've gotten used to this sitting with Mr. Kemka. He always sits and he always has an interesting story to share. There's a book, I don't know if anyone here has read it, it's called On DuPont Circle. They say that never doubt that a small group of committed people can change the world. I think On DuPont Circle was a book which actually made me believe, well, I guess this can happen. It was a bunch of 12 people in Washington, D.C. who used to meet every Friday night for a drink, have dinner once in a while. As they became more busy with their personal lives, they started meeting lesser and lesser, but each of them was committed in some way to making a difference, whether it was the field of law, whether it was the field of politics. Each of them, the idea was to engage. The idea was to create a trusted group of people to bounce your ideas off. The idea was to say, okay, this is what I think I want to do with my life, what do you think? And get honest advice from people who actually share the same set of goals. And there were 12 of them in that group, in that house in DuPont Circle. It later came to be called the House of Truth. If anyone at that point were to say, what will these 12 people do with their lives, no one would know. But out of them, one of them was Walter Lippmann, who was one of the finest political writers, as you guys know. One of them was Felix Frankfurter, a Supreme Court judge. One of them was John Dulles, who went on to be Secretary of State. One of them was Allen Dulles, who went on to be the founder of the CIA. One of them was Herbert Hoover. One of them was Franklin Roosevelt, and the other Eleanor Roosevelt. And the next time, after they all got busy in their individual lives, the next time this group of 12, these members of the House of Truth met again, they had another chance at shaping history. The outcome was the United Nations. So I believe that a small bunch of committed people can make a difference. And you know what? They shared a common goal. But we share something more important than a common goal. At tGELF, the focus is also the common values. The fact that all of us are built in the same mold, and tGELF and everyone working at tGELF is trying to nurture that and further that. So there's one thing which they didn't have in the House of Truth probably, which we do, which is a sense of companionship and trust. A sense that if I want to talk to someone out here, I believe that the person is very similar to me inherently, and someone who believes in the same ideals apart from being passionate about changing the world. So that's where I believe 100 people with the same set of values and goals can actually bring about a huge difference. The next slide is the foundation of great leadership. Leadership, I mean, at tGELF, over the years, we've come to define leadership as something which is not just someone who can make a change, not just someone who can collect a group of people together and inspire them or drive them to do something, not just someone who can delegate work. Because yes, you need that to be a leader. But what is great leadership? And great leadership is building upon three other very important things. Like I said, values and ethics is core to what tGELF believes, is core to what tGELF looks for when they actually choose each one of us to sit in this room. Altruism, again, all of you know this probably better than even I do because you all have been associated with tGELF and work closely with it. Altruism is something which, there are a lot of people who are driven. I mean, the lack of leadership, if you look at India today, I mean, I don't believe there's a lack of leadership. There's a phenomenal amount of leadership in India today. Is that leadership being channelizing the energy to do the right things? I don't believe so. Because if you look at the field of politics, for example, are you telling me that politicians don't know how to win elections? Politicians don't know how to get people to vote for them? Of course they do. That's why we have people perceived to be corrupt winning 9 terms and 10 terms. But are all of them wanting to do something for the betterment of society? That's what we question. And that's why we feel tGELF itself can make a difference because it can alter the discourse. It can alter the conversation being undertaken, whether it's social, whether it's political, whether it's on the question of human rights. Any issue where we have a bunch of people who want to make a change in society, bring about a positive change in society, that's the collection of people we have here today. And decisive action, because in theory, all of this is great. In theory, this presentation after 20 minutes is something you may say, okay, I heard it, we put together a combination of thoughts, but over the next 3 days, if we don't say, okay, this is the roadmap for our future, because the roadmap for our future can only come from you guys. So decisive action at the end for each one of us holds us accountable to what we say, because presenting a story is very different to actually implementing what we present. This is just a report of a slide to summarize where tGELF is today. We have 130 scholars, 500,000 students, 7,000 teachers, 115 schools, and we're present in 11 countries. So imagine the value of that network of ethical, altruistic people who are passionate to change the world. If we actually get this right at the top of the organization, it can really become a voice which will have a say on this planet. I think every one of you has been through the selection process, so you know how it moves from the pool of 500,000 through the various filters to the leaders forum. Over time, and every other conference we've spoken about the curriculum. The curriculum at tGELF is something very important because it reaches out to a very large section of people. It's the base of the pyramid. If you look at tGELF as a pyramid, the base is our first point of contact is the curriculum. So the curriculum needs to be top-notch to actually tell people, you know what, this is what you should be talking about, or this is how tGELF thinks you should be approaching issues. Is everyone going to get it? No. Are most people going to get it? I honestly think maybe not. But we're actually putting that seed of doubt in their mind about, or rather we're actually looking at it in a positive way and we're saying this is the way you should be looking at things. But are we going to talk about the curriculum at this conference? No. Because I think there's a lot of decisive, action-oriented things which we can talk about. And those are the things which I feel that this conference, and those are the things which everyone at tGELF feels should be discussed at this conference because it's something we can act upon immediately, it's something which we can draw up plans for, and something which we need to guide. Because something like curriculum, while it's interesting, if there are people interested in the project working on designing the curriculum, well, we'll send around a sign-up sheet. It would be interesting. It would be great if you want to work on it. But we need to focus on the 3-4 things which we've decided should be the core things at tGELF this year. The first is service. Service, like with everything I've said, is central to the idea of tGELF. Service could be projects in terms of, it could be social service, it could be service in terms of an internal learning, the process of just spending some time to get out of the daily routine of education, etc., and actually take some time out to whether it's meditation, whether it's religious training, whether it's spiritual. I mean, the list is endless. Again, how service projects, how many service projects? Does everyone have to do a service project? Well, I don't know. The answer is going to come from a majority of this room because none of this can be top down. None of this can be imposed by the people running this foundation on us. We guys need to sit together and decide, how will mentorship work best? Well, everyone has a different view, but mentorship has the power to be a very, very powerful idea, because not only are we learning from someone, but we can help someone else. So again, mutual respect and trust. And campus clubs. I think the big decision that's been made by everyone at tGELF, at least what we've understood, is that this is the year to actually expand on an international scale at the campus clubs. So that's the last of our focus areas. I'll now pass the mic on so that the next person can then touch upon each subtopic in detail, and they can actually get us thinking on what the ideas we've proposed are, and then we can take it from there. Thank you.
Hi, hi guys. I'm sure some of you know me. Um, well, as much as all of us would like to go for a vacation to bond, we can't do that. And we have to be a cohesive organization that actually has an impact or has the ability to help each other or support each other. When we were trying to come up with the vision implementation program, we realized that we may be selected from, the best schools or haven't done very well in school. However, we need to connect with each other. We need to act as a support mechanism for each other, which is why I feel this is where service projects really comes in. Since a large number of scholars here are studying abroad, we don't really have an opportunity to give back to our society in India. So what we want to do is, we don't want to do mandated projects like we did with corruption and governance or demographic challenges, because the thing is that we need to own this, and this needs to be our own initiative, something that we really, really want to do. And I've been working with Vandika, Ramya, Anshul, all on the Indian Voter Project, for example. I had never met Ramya in my life before. And, and in 1 month, we were so coordinated that we knew each other's schedules. We were coordinating who's going to do what, when. And today is the first day we met. So the basic principle is, like Jay said, all of us have a similar value system. All of us have the same common denominator, and we can connect with each other because we all have similar lives. We super schedule and try to do as many possible things as we can in a day. And it is these skills that we, in essence, need to practice. Social service allows you to gain perspective on what really is wrong. We sit in classrooms or do internships at investment banks and consultancies only to realize that we have like a very top-down perspective. We need to have a proper insight into what's happening on the ground level. And a few days working with these organizations gives you a very good idea of what exactly it is that is happening. Take the Dune School's plastic bottle house project, for example. They made this in less than 2 weeks. We collectively, if we split it up, we could definitely do it. People have a house because somebody decided they're going to fill up plastic bottles and pile them together to make a reliable house. Like, that potentially sounds crazy, but that's what this is all about, right? You collect a group of smart people and you want them to innovate and to develop something that actually causes real impact. And this is what we are out to do. We are wasting our talent if we just work at the top level, right? It's the ground level that really, really needs us. So I don't see how committing 5 days in, let's say, our 3-month-long summer breaks is really going to harm us. But that's why I feel social service is key to us going forward. It is what is going to allow us to bond, connect, rely on each other to do certain things, and develop that bond so that going forward, like 10, 15 years down the line, when we go out and we potentially are running a company, we can just call somebody up who we work with some project and say, I just need this. And they're going to do it because you work together, you have like a common bond. Just meeting once a year probably will allow us to know each other by face, but we need something more. And I believe social service is this thing? Uh, it's basically based on just 3 key things. It's completely going to be ownership based. There's going to be no mandated projects. There's going to be no, like, nobody's harassing you to finish this. You're not doing it for anyone. You're doing it only for yourself. You're doing it because you want to do it, and you're doing it with people from the group, or you want to do it with other people, go ahead and do it. But the thing is that use us. We are all resources. You've got people doing computer science. You've got people interested in politics, engineers. Do you know, this is like a potential gold mine of resources. If we can just effectively use like a few hours of each other's time, we can do like create a large impact, and it's barely going to take away from our work. Innovation, you've already seen, the Indian water, the plastic bottle. That's what it's all about. And support. tGELF supports you to do whatever you want. However this support may be, by helping you contact people, funding you for it, and there's only one simple principle. If you use it responsibly and you tell them how you're using it, it's going to be limitless. Like, so basically what's happening is you have a collection of really smart people with limitless resources not doing anything for the bottom rung of the society. So I feel it's just illogical. So let's just go out and do something, shall we?
Hi, everyone. So we can all identify one person who's had a very significant and positive impact in our life. Whether that was a teacher or parent or a sibling or a friend, and very often someone who we found in college or in school who's been our senior. And we sought guidance, mentorship, inspiration, direction, support, and built this strong bond of trust and friendship where we can rely on someone for help. And I can say with experience that that is something I've found at tGELF within the Leaders Forum, with the friends that I have here, and all the people we meet at LIFE every year. Which is why we want to talk about mentoring as an important undercurrent at tGELF. And I'm sure a lot of us who've been here for a while will vouch for the fact that mentorship is a constant process that we receive and give as part of tGELF. Because imagine the sheer power of our network and our personal capabilities when they're blended together to support each other, and what impact that can have. We want to focus on mentorship and structured, effective mentorship that can support sustainable growth, both personal and professional, for all of us here, and also develop a community of responsible future leaders who learn and make it a habit to open doors of opportunity as we move forward instead of shutting them behind us. And so we know that a mentor can be a coach, an advisor, or a supporter, a resource person, and all of us have the capability to be that for each other. And how can we do that? And how can we strengthen and make a strategic model of doing that effectively and being there for each other whenever we can? So we want to talk about, during the course of these few days, and also today in detail, about how we can encourage this culture of mentorship. Is it through campus clubs? The campus clubs have this phenomenal power of bringing together all tGELF members in one college and having that support system ready for you to avail or ready for you to give back to the community of tGELF. And you build strong student networks and a form of a buddy system of peer mentoring. And explaining this to you a little bit, very simply, freshman mentored by sophomore, mentored by junior, mentored by senior. And also the seniors then have access to the network that tGELF reaches out to, and that sort of external mentorship. So it's like a long chain of supporting each other and also making sure that you're continuously contributing to collective growth instead of just sole personal growth through the course of your professional journey. So today we're looking at exploring how these buddy systems and peer mentoring systems can be worked out in a more effective and strategic manner. And also a buddy system in college for the underprivileged. We are a network of students who come from a particular background. How can we move outside this network and give our resources to a larger audience? Given the fact that at tGELF, our objective is to nurture ethical and altruistic leadership. We need a different and a unique kind of mentorship alongside all of this professional guidance on how to write an essay or how to apply for something, and if you need help in a subject. So alongside all of that and how to cope with college pressure or whatever that is, we need a different kind of mentorship, and that is for personal growth. And I'm sure a lot of us who've been here keep talking about and keep listening to how spirituality and personal growth is an essential part of leadership. And how can we build that, and how can we have, what do we need, what do we need to be better leaders personally? How can we develop a moral compass within ourselves, and how can we develop a spiritual leadership within ourselves, and how can tGELF facilitate that? So we're looking at a roadmap, creating a roadmap today for how tGELF as an institution can support this sort of mentoring model, and how we as scholars and leaders forum members can create and develop that. So I'm going to pass on the mic to next topic. Yep.
Hi guys, another unfamiliar face. My name is Devdutt. I'm at the University of Cambridge. Well, my aim is to talk about campus clubs, and these guys have eaten into quite a bit of time, so I'm going to keep it short into the rubric. The aim is, so as Jay said, this is the year of the campus club, and the aim is to take tGELF international. And I see from this room that there's a number of you going to a variety of colleges, and we hope to establish a community based on the foundations of mutual trust and shared ideals and values, and be able to benefit from that globally. Opposed to common wisdom, which says that quantity can drive social change, I think tGELF's philosophy is that there should be a small key group of members that are strategically connected that can actually make the change. And this is what the Campus Club aims to do. And this is following Professor John Paul Lederach's philosophy, and he uses a metaphor of yeast to explain this. An unwritten rule that should be followed in determining who constitutes this critical yeast is the 40-year friendship rule. So if you see a friend, if you see a peer that you'd want to be friends with 40 years hence, I think that's when you found your critical yeast. These are a few ideas. Obviously, the list is not exhaustive, and people can. We will hold a session after this to determine more ideas and stuff. But holding members events every month in order to sort of lubricate relationships and yeah, just make sure the machine is functioning well. A monthly meet could be dinner or a drink at a pub or whatever of that sort. As Jay acknowledged, that universities have unique settings, and obviously this can't be imposed in all campuses, and therefore everyone will have their say when you do take it to your campuses. An annual welcome party to facilitate entry of new members or inclusion of peripheral members that have showed keen interest. Aligning with university institutions and departments and public speaking forums in order to tie up with speakers and promote them under the tGELF banner, for example. In a different setting, holding a one-day life event at campuses in order to sort of just provide information at large to other people in the university. Seed funding is an interesting idea. tGELF said that they'd be willing to fund startups as long as there's a tGELF member on the board. And campus clubs could potentially hold business club competitions on a monthly basis where these ideas could be further taken. This will be, so the first point is for students and professors to create a portal where they can engage in a well-bonded community. This topic will be covered in the coming slides under communication. So if a Cambridge professor wanted help on a research project regarding something in India and DTU has a campus club in place, I think you could rely on campus clubs around the world to provide such information. Promoting a culture of leadership is obviously one of the key pillars of the tGELF ideology, and that involves sort of the service projects that Sukrit was speaking about, and seed funding to promote social entrepreneurs and leaders of tomorrow. Um, Persuading pioneers that share tGELF philosophies, getting more people involved, real-world leaders that can promote the cause under their own. Altruism, it's under the sort of giving back ideology, and the mentorship will provide that, and obtaining, at the end of the day, we want to provide a self-sustaining, self-promoting, self-governing organization. So funding from alumni, for example, would be critical, and we'll be the alumni of the future eventually. So anyway, I think I'm going to hand it over to Jayant, because he's set up a campus club, and I think he should speak about his experience.
Hi guys, so I technically not really set up a campus club. It was more of a group effort from all the people in Cornell. In case you guys didn't know, Cornell has the biggest contingent of tGELF scholars. And so, which is why we were able to start a campus club. Luckily, all the people who were working, who were at the Cornell campus club were also working on on similar action plans. So we were able to get a lot of work done, especially in the social inequity action plan, which was headed by Dia. So the main challenge with this is getting people to spend time on the club. So when the semester actually kicks into gear, when you have exams and things like that, it's very hard to find time. It's very hard to get people to all devote time to a campus club, which obviously doesn't directly affect your academics or anything of that sort. So, I mean, the main thing is you have to be able to organize, maybe not get everyone together, because that's damn near impossible, but get a couple of people together, get them working on a couple of things, plan what's going to happen at what meeting. We weren't, I mean, we were successful in doing some of the things that we wanted to do in terms of the Indian voter and the Haridwar project, but as a whole, as a club, we didn't exactly grow in numbers. So that is something that we could look for, that we could work on, including more professors. There was one professor that we had, that he came, spoke with us. Mrs. Ishwaran once came and had a little meeting with all of us together. So, and it's like little things like that that we can learn from, that having so many people at Cornell has helped with. And so, yeah, it's basically a learning experience, and hopefully next year, as the numbers grow, as now we have 4 full years of tGELF scholars in colleges in the US. Now there's obviously bigger groups at Columbia, at Stanford, at MIT, and things like that. So hopefully these clubs can now grow to other universities. Pass this on to the next.
Hi, I'm Arya. I'm a second year at the University of Cambridge, but I'm studying land economy. But enough about me, let's dive into the content. I'm going to talk to you about the organizational structure of tGELF as we go forward into the next few years. So as our organization grows in size, right now we're 500,000 students and approximately 120 leaders at this forum. As our organization grows in size, there's obviously a need to implement a structure of governance that is efficient and is going to allow us to interact with one another, learn from each other's mistakes. But let's be honest, none of us respond well to pressure from the top, to people nagging us. So I think the organization, and considering that we are the generation, we are the young generation and going to be the leaders of tomorrow, hopefully, we should take the responsibility of making the most of the resources that we have at hand, making the most of the time that we have, and just helping each other. And in that way, being accountable to each other and just the organization itself, rather than having people from the management coming and harassing us to do things. And I think we're more than capable of doing that. At a higher level, we envisage the management forming a sort of advisory board that kind of just looks over the bigger picture. It sort of acts as a guide, as a moral compass for us, so that we don't stray, but we're going in the right direction, we're doing the right things, but we're not losing ourselves in it. To anyone interested, we hopefully propose to plan an executive committee that is going to overlook the day-to-day workings of, as people have spoken, the mentoring program, the campus clubs, things like that. So if anyone's interested in that, please come and talk to me, and I'm happy to discuss it going forward. As Jay has already mentioned, we are a community of people that share the same values. We are ethical, well, I hope. Uh, we are altruistic. We take decisive actions, and which is why we're at great institutions right now. And the fact that we're all at these really good academic institutions shows that we have something in common. We have these common values that are going to allow us to develop a relationship of trust. And hopefully I can count on any one of you. If I have an idea tomorrow, I can count on any one of you and be like, I have this idea, are you interested? Please join me. So considering that we have this relationship of trust and that our network is growing more and more, it is important to communicate with one another, not just within our campuses or within our campus clubs or just with the mentor, but as a whole community, because that's essential. What we envisaged as form of communication, obviously there's many more things that that can be done, and you all are free to suggest, and I'm very happy to discuss it after this. But one of the things was obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is sort of like an online portal where we can kind of just share our ideas, share our experiences, what we've been doing over the past month, maybe as a campus club, maybe as individuals, maybe as a project leader. So if we have that portal, if we have that voice, and we can explain to each other, talk to each other, learn from each other's mistakes, and even collaborate, I think that's great, because it's well and good that we meet at LIFE once a year, but if we can interact on a more monthly basis, just more often, I think we can be a more cohesive community. Next, as with many great organizations, you have a monthly newsletter or blog, and we hope that people will just sort of write articles about the experience that they've had doing a certain project, or how their mentors helped them. And the requirement could be each campus club supports one article a month, and we form a monthly newsletter from it. But just doing these small things will help us be more connected with one another. We'll know what's happening in other campuses. We'll know what people are doing, and we know that if there are any opportunities out there, we can capitalize on them. Last but not least, obviously, there is social media, and I'm aware that we have a tGELF Twitter handle already. So if we can just make more efficient use of that, if just one person is willing to tweet once a day, Mr. Khemka himself might do it, or anyone. But I think that we just need to communicate so that we can be a more cohesive unit, a more binding force going forward with one strong voice. And thank you so much, and I'm very happy to discuss any of this after this. So I'll just hand it on to...
Hi. So I also was asked to talk about the US life. Misleading because it actually refers to the conference, not US life. I'm not going to be talking about how you live there. So now what LIFE is now planning, what tGELF is now planning to do is have a version of the LIFE conference in the US, organized primarily by the clubs in the US themselves, in the different universities. So obviously there are here, it's wonderfully organized by the organization itself, and with help from the Delhi club. So what the US Life would be something, it would be something that's almost completely organized by the students themselves, with some oversight, with some overseeing from the foundation. Now, obviously, we'd have a lot to learn from the Delhi club, since they have been working so religiously on the LIFE conferences over here. So it would be, the theory behind this is, since most of us have access to these incredible professors who have done lots of work in Asia, in India specifically, or even all around the world, people who have, who promote this, this value of social leadership and morally based leadership, we could ask them to just come over. It'd be easier to organize in terms of not having to fly people all the way from the US or something. You have these people on the campus, on your campus yourself. So you just talk to them, ask them to if they're willing to give their time to something like the tGELF Foundation and LIFE itself. So it is. So this is basically where we are headed for next year. Obviously, this means a lot more work for a lot of organization for the clubs themselves. You'd have to get started and organize something like this in the next 3 months. So it is a lot of work, but it would be incredible, and it would be a lot more people from who are missing this conference because they're interning at somewhere around the US or something like that will be able to attend that conference then. So that's basically the premise behind this, and I think that is probably the end of this talk. So thank you. Okay, not the end of the talk, sorry.
Not yet. So as we mentioned a little earlier during the talk, we want to break out into focus groups and really flesh out what do we want under mentorship, and how can we work campus clubs, how can we make campus clubs work, and what kind of service projects are we willing and inclined to do. So when we break out into focus groups, we've set out a couple of directives so that we have direction as to what all we need to answer as a group and what all we can answer, along with additional comments. So coming to campus clubs, yeah, so we'll print this out and we'll give it to each table working on a particular group. And so we can discuss all of these directives along with any additional suggestions that we may have.
Yeah. So all along, I guess, that's our last slide. All along we've been, every slide we've said what we do from here now depends on everyone here. So there's been kind of the thing that decisions need to be taken by everyone in the room. So we have a couple of things which we had planned. Y'all can choose which one y'all think we should do. The two options are, one, we actually give you printouts of this. We break up into focus groups, the 4 focus groups. Sukrit and Akhil had made a list of these questions, and basically we divide into these 3 groups. But again, we understand, like we've been saying throughout, that everyone's not passionate about the same things. There may be someone here who actually has a 4th idea which you think is very important and should be discussed at LIFE this year while we're designing this roadmap to go forward. So there'll be a 4th group, or there might be someone who just wants to talk about the events which are happening at tGELF through the year and discussing those, seeing how those can be changed, or just understanding better how you can be involved with those. So we're actually dividing, that's one option, to divide into 4 groups and do that. The second option is we're going to put Mr. Khemka and Mrs. Ishwaran up here for a small rapid fire session, because, I mean, I hope there are some questions you'll want to ask them about the foundation, about where they see the foundation going, about any queries you have, something you're not sure about. So those are the 2 options. So, which, yeah, I guess a show of hands. However many of you want to actually have Mr. Khemka and Mrs. Ishwaran come up for rapid fire round. Any questions for them? Okay, I think we've done a good job. Oh, we've done a terrible one. But, so we'll break up into focus groups. So everyone, we're actually allowed to use the second room as well. We're just going to do 20 minutes. And the key to this is we're going to have someone from each of those groups come back and speak for just 2-3 minutes and tell us what transpired in those 20 minutes, just the sense in which it's headed. And while we have that, we're going to pass around sheets, which are basically sign-up sheets. I mean, if anyone feels really passionate about one of these things, or feels they want to know more and they want to be involved in helping work on that particular aspect of tGELF, then you can just sign up on those sheets. So everyone who's interested in campus clubs and service projects could go into the room behind, the next room, and everyone who's interested in mentoring and who's interested in the 4th group, which is talking about other possible ideas or what's happening at tGELF already, can stay in this room. So we have 20 minutes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. What we want to do now is just bring one person from each of the teams to discuss what what happened and what was discussed and spoken about in their teams and what ideas they have. We will have only 1.5 minutes per person, so there'll be someone here showing you the time and asking you to get off right after 1.5 minutes. So please make sure you're within the time because we have another thing scheduled. So can we start with service?
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Tara, and so our group had a reasonably productive discussion about service projects, and there were 4 main themes that emerged out of that. So the first was that we really need to focus on specificity of issues and really make sure that we narrow down exactly what we're doing and have small focus groups working on a particular service project. Reason being, we really want to learn from our action plans in the past, where trying to focus on really big issues and stuff got diluted. Another idea that kind of came up was choosing a particular issue and having different people, since we're all located in different places, kind of mold that issue and try to work towards it in their own context. So what one of our members said was, let's put an identity to the issue, but not necessarily a face. For example, say we want to work on education, everyone does that differently. But that's just an idea. The second theme that came out was that we must do interest-based work and again work in small focus groups. So that's again a learning from the action plan that we don't want something enforced. We want to make sure it comes from within. The third, which was one of the main ideas that came out, was that we really want to make sure that we have a fine balance between the research wing or the think tank of a particular service project and the actual workforce, like the involved implementation of whatever cause we're working towards. So the reason this is really important is because we are all located in completely different places, and a lot of the service projects we take up will be in India. So we want to make sure that we're using the knowledge from outside, but also making sure that we can implement it properly. Last, we want to make sure that we learn from a variety of models. For example, SAM has a non-profit and which has 40 chapters in colleges. So we want to learn how we can take that forward and be awesome. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Can we move on to mentoring?
Hi. So we're thinking on lines of 3 layers of mentorship: professional mentorship, university level mentorship, and high school mentorship. Professional mentorship will be people in the corporate world, social activists, etc., who can mentor people in the universities. University level mentorship will be sophomores mentoring freshmen, or juniors mentoring sophomores, and so on. High school mentorship will be linking the leaders forum to the leaders club so that the leaders forum members can help the leaders club high school juniors and seniors in the application procedure, etc. We're thinking on lines of building a database of people who want to volunteer to be mentors. It will include information such as what they've done, what their interest is, what they plan to do, so that the potential mentees can reach out to the right person who match in personality to them. Also, we plan to open a closed group on Facebook, LinkedIn, etc., so that it's easier to get connected with people who you want to connect with. We wish to institutionalize the advisory board so that even people can facilitate the connections, and lastly, and also issue directives, and lastly, we'll hold meetings in the campus. Anyone who wants to contribute, feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much. Can we move on to campus clubs?
So I'll keep it very short. What we discussed is, firstly, whatever informal groups or campus clubs we have, they lack a certain direction A, and they need a certain framework B. So and another thing is that we have to be more action oriented with our clubs, not just invite speakers, not just hold conferences and discussions, but actually take up actions, not just service, but it could be related to, let's say, international politics or whichever cause they feel they are really passionate about. And also the third thing is, because we have a lot of colleges in UK, US, India, so we cannot have a common framework. So each campus have to have a separate framework and mandate of their own, which the students will develop on their own. And according to the culture there, the needs and the aims of this leader, whatever this group would be formed, would be structured, right? Thank you.
Thank you. we also had a fourth group which discussed anything additional to these three focus groups that tGELF can focus on, and any questions that have come up. So is anybody interested in sharing information about, sharing the discussion from that?
Hi, I'm Akash. So just looking around at the groups, I was in the service group, and that's the only thing I was limited to, but there was tremendous amount of energy just flowing, you know, discussions, debates, and people just giving so many different ideas. It just seemed like such a collaborative effort from everyone out here. So just talking about what it is. So looking at us, we are 120 leaders right now, and we've reached about 500,000 students in different ways. But tomorrow, we'll expand to probably say 500 leaders and 5 million or hopefully more than that. So I feel like the ethics and the values we hold today is what's going to be like the stereotype for the tGELF leader tomorrow. So it's really important to us. That's why we have to hold a certain sense of accountability for ourselves, that we ensure that the path we are walking on today is one that's right, is one that we set together, first of all, not just something that's passed on to us or not enforced onto us. So I feel like it's a very important job for us in the next 3-4 days that we have this conference, that we formulate certain values that we all uphold, that we all share together, and we form an image that we all represent, so that it becomes like a symbol, so it becomes a symbol for this entire community. And I feel that'd be a really important way for us to go forward with it.
Hi. So another thing we thought of was like technology. So as you all know, like technology is very, very important in today's day. We thought that like when we had the discussion on campus clubs also, that linking people within the tGELF community is very important. So if we could form like websites or portals where people from different clubs, around the world, or even just part of the community, can be linked together to like form a network, whether it's like whether it's with opportunities with professors or anything that's come their way and they know that other people may be interested in. Mentorship, you can form like portals where people could or maybe a blog where you could post questions and other people that have been in your place can answer, Skype calls, Google Hangouts, just so that someone that's been in your place, let's say you're applying to college or you're applying for a job, someone that's already done it can help you out. Information for students regarding like scholarships. If you have like a list of all the scholarships available to you, you could avail of these scholarships when you go to colleges and things like that. So like a lot of you people, when you introduced yourselves, were interested in computer science. So if you could like form an initiative to basically promote technology within tGELF and create maybe a website or portals where people could come together and link the community better, would be very beneficial for everyone. So I think that's it.
Thank you so much. Within this entire discussion, we wanted to include a couple of experiences from scholars and Leaders Forum members who've been here a while and have wanted to share the impact tGELF has had on them. We have time for only one, even though there were many interested. So I'm going to call Sanya on stage to talk about her experience in tGELF as a scholar.
Thank you. Hi guys, I'll keep it short. I hope you had productive focus groups. My name is Sanya Ojha, and I know a lot of you don't know me, so I am a rising junior at University of Pennsylvania. My involvement with tGELF has lasted over 5 years and pretty much transformed my life. And no exaggeration here. So let me start from the beginning. I'm from Chandigarh, so not the Delhi or the Bombay. Not a lot of people apply to schools abroad. A lot of people also like, I didn't have any SAT coaching, I didn't have any college counselor. I honestly didn't think I was at all prepared to go to a university that I really wanted to. But even before that, tGELF came into my life when I was in grade 9. The first time I ever left the country was because tGELF gave me a scholarship to go to Singapore. There was a leadership conference, conclave. That was my first exposure. It was really fun, and I grew tremendously as a person, just the kind of growth that comes from meeting new people, clash of perspectives, all of that. And from there on, we had that leadership forum. I don't know how many of you went through that in schools, where you kind of do these activities. died down for a bit, and then when I was in grade 11, I remember I really wanted to go to summer school, but it's atrociously expensive. It's like the money-making mechanism of all these great universities. So I again thought that I wouldn't be able to do that, and then tGELF again came into the picture, and they had this scholarship that they were giving for summer school to Brown University, and I applied and I got through. Again, probably one of the most transformative experiences I have ever had. I met Shrestha over there, I met Varun Puri over there, I met Ria over there. So it was one of the most fascinating experiences, my first brush with the US education system, and after that I knew that I wanted more. I like the kind of intellectual curiosity that is encouraged in universities there, especially for someone like me who's very undecided about what I want to do yet. So, and then I was really wary of applying to all these universities because the one place I really wanted to be, which was Wharton, because I really wanted to do business, was not need blind. So I thought I'm not going to get it because I'm going to apply with financial aid. But then tGELF stepped in. Gauri ma'am was like, you know what, just apply. We're here. Go for it. And I did, and all of that worked out. So they've been an immense support, and I don't even know where I would have been had this organization not just like been created and transformed the way that I live my life. And I think the best two things that I really appreciate about tGELF, one, what it gives you is people and platform. The people I've met are my closest friends in the world. And what really, really works for us is because we are pretty much lifted out of this country and put into another, and there you have another barrier to overcome. You not only have really hard academics, you not only are getting used to getting out of high school, you're also getting used to an entirely different culture, and having like a group of ready-made best friends to see you through everything, people whom you can call family. That's what tGELF's really given me. And then a platform to meet even more people every year. Like many of you joined this year. By the way, please feel free to reach out to all the people who've been here for like 3 or 4 years. I know there's like kind of this segregation where the old people on one side, the new people on one side. Don't do that, just like come up and talk to us. So the platform to have like all these opportunities you can. And then the second thing really quickly, I like that we are given the path, not the destination. Everyone is encouraged to be altruistic, everyone's encouraged to show leadership potential, but they don't tell you what to do, which I value a lot. For me personally, I think finance is absolutely fascinating to me. It's a machine that has so much power and little regulation and determines like the way the world works, and I think that is where we need a lot of altruistic leaders, because that is where a lot of important decisions are made. So they've given me the freedom and the platform to go and pursue my interests there, and of course the mentorship. So it's a great organization. Please take as much advantage as you can of these 4 days, make those relationships and follow up on them, and make sure that they stay even after these 4 days. Thank you.
That was great. Thanks. So we're actually out of time, but the one last thing which all of us working on like trying to put this presentation together really wanted to say was, so we know that everyone's not going to be as involved in shaping the way tGELF goes forward. Everyone's going to be involved in their own way and probably making a more significant contribution than people sitting actually mapping out what's going to happen tomorrow and 1 year from today and 10 years from today. So when we say the 3 aspects of tGELF and we want you guys to say, sign up and this is what I want to do, well, you don't need to sign up for one of those. Maybe you can do something else. Maybe it's a service project which you do with 3 other people and tGELF adopts and tGELF helps expand and grow. So the community is there, the resources are there for you to avail of. But I mean, this can only go, it's been 7 years now. When we say 500,000 kids, that's a lot of children. That's where the bottom of your pyramid. But as this top expands, this foundation, as many kids we take at the bottom and as many we expand at the top, this foundation and what this foundation stands for truly is, I mean, we have goals, we have ethics, we have a mission statement, we have a vision, but the way that vision is achieved, if at all it's achieved in entirety, if it's achieved in part, how much we want to achieve, can only be defined by people within the organization, because the people driving it, I mean, it's something which is going to grow if you have a couple of dynamic people at a couple of campuses, a couple of people somewhere else who really want to get this done and who believe in this idea of a network of people who you can trust and people who actually you think are committed to changing the world. So for everything that we've said, and we've said we'll have campus clubs, I've said that I'd love to start one up at Georgetown. At the end, I have to hold myself accountable, because I can come back saying, yeah, there's a campus club with 3 people there. But I mean, if I can't do it, I can't do it. And you'd rather give that commitment and take it, be open and straightforward about it. And the people who think that, yes, I have the time this year, great, sign up, email us, we'll set up a system, we'll have an email sent out, and we can probably get together and and then bounce those ideas off the broader group of people, because everyone here's opinion counts as much as the others. So that's kind of, to end it up, we should hold ourselves accountable. And if there's something which you're saying and you think isn't being done, take the initiative, do it yourself. And like someone said earlier, Sukrit, I think, said, all the resources are there, everything's at your disposal. But it's about how each person chooses to make use of it. Thank you.
tGELF, leading the change.